Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Villa Park Village Board to order. It's August 26th at 7 p.m. Clerk Kornecki, could you please call the roll?
It's Trustee Salella.
Here.
Trustee Kazone.
Here.
Trustee Murphy. Here. Trustee Patrick.
Here.
Trustee Tucker. Here. Trustee Wagner.
Here.
President Bolfus.
Here. Let's all stand for a pledge and then remain standing for a short prayer. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Wagner has a short prayer for us.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that might affect the residents, staff, businesses, surrounding communities, and all those that enter the village of Villa Park. And continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comments on agenda items. This would be for items number 5 through 8H. Clerk Kornecki, do we have anyone signed up?
Yes. Yes. Dale Mattson regarding item 8D. Okay, and Christine Nicoletto, they're coming together.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my wife, Chris. I'm not sure how this works, but this is about the alley vacation between Adams and Jackson. And I guess our biggest point of contention is the appraisal, what the appraisal came out to, and the cost comes out to about $329 a square foot for a 20-foot alley between the two streets. This is significantly higher than the appraised value of our property through the county, and also it's a lot higher than a recent alley vacation just down the street by the Ovaltine factory. I think that was, let's see, the address of that was, I got that somewhere here. But that was $240 a square foot for an alley that was commercial property, so it probably should have been higher than residential generally. If you look at the appraisal, it seems where it went off the rails is that they assessed it at the same value as a full-size lot, and they didn't seem to take into consideration that there's utilities running through the alley, telephone poles with the electric phone cable, all that kind of stuff. What else do you want to say?
So, I mean, this has been holding up us redoing our driveway for 14 months now because we can't seem to get it taken care of. And we cannot get a permit until this is resolved. And so, my driveway's literally falling apart.
Right.
Yeah. We didn't initiate this alley vacation, but it seems like it might be a good idea because it's, if you look at the pictures on the assessment, there were significant trees growing all over the place. It looked bad. We've actually paid money to have a bunch of them taken down in anticipation of doing our driveway, but
yeah, we paid.
You know, since this is brought up, we feel like we have to buy the adjacent portion to our property to preserve our driveway. There's not enough room to pave it next to the house there anymore. So.
And I don't understand why this has been an issue. This is an existing driveway. So why can't we get a permit to fix an existing driveway? I mean, we have a contractor locked and loaded, and we've had him locked and loaded for 14 months.
So your driveway now is on the alley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's not unusual in this part of the city.
Yeah. So that's why you can't get a permit until we get this taken care of.
Well, I'd like to know who initiated this, because it wasn't us.
No, it was the property owner down on Jackson.
Ah,
so the
okay.
Polish people. Okay.
Yeah, that would kind of make sense if they want to build a garage or something.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has the same issue, so.
But, you know, we'd just like to get it resolved at a reasonable price so we have enough money to do the driveway and clean up the landscaping
And we've already paid $1,900 once to take a set of trees down and $1,200 to take down another tree. All trees that were dying and were in the way of fixing our driveway. So we've already invested a significant amount of money into what is not even our property.
and there's another elm tree there that is, the
Dying.
top of it has no leaves. So.
Yeah, and I called the village about 2 months ago, asking them to come out to maybe take it down, because about 5 years ago, I think you can attest to this, 2 dying trees on the alleyway went down on the power lines and took the street out for a week. So I'd like you guys to come and take that tree down before this happens again. And 2 months later, we've seen nobody to even come out and look at it. And in the past, when we've asked people to come and take down pretty much almost dead trees, we've been told each time that, oh, it's not completely dead, so we won't take it down. Which is why we've invested our money into taking down some of these dying, overgrown trees.
But we had an appraisal, that's how we came up with the dollar amount. Until we pass these, you're not going to get a permit until we
Okay.
take care of this. So basically, your request is that the appraisal's too high?
Yes,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the appraisal seems way high.
Okay.
significantly out of what it should be.
And you didn't get your own appraisal, this would just be,
No, I
Go
haven't, but, you know, property values are regularly assessed by the county assessor. And my,
And this is alleyway. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just useless.
he praised it as at the same value as my regular lot,
And this is,
which
this is a
doesn't
utility.
seem right. And there's
Yeah.
also, you know, there will need to be what do they call it? A
But when
utility
you-
easement for the poles, which.
but when you
which
do
would-
get the property, then it'll be the same value as the rest of your lot.
For, in essence, uselessly, because we can't do anything on it except have grass in our driveway.
And driveway.
because Otherwise, ComEd comes and destroys everything as they take down whatever trees are around there.
Yeah, this is one of these areas that has the back lot that was repartitioned. And that lot is assessed at about 64 cents a square foot.
Yeah, why?
So, you know,
And that-
it doesn't make sense that the fair market value of an alley that's not buildable on, and you know, he says it's not buildable on, is the
Right.
same as my regular property.
Yes? Well, we are, when we sell property, we have to sell it for 80% of its appraised value. So the. Yes.
Well, on our agenda for tonight, so your board members know, there's the appraisal amount. If you want to adjust that appraisal, I think 20% is the maximum we could adjust it, but that would be applied to all the properties along the stretch. So, that's, you know, that's about all we can do tonight. Otherwise, if the board wants to, they can reject this agenda item, and then we'd have to go out for reappraisal, and it may come back the same, it may not, but then it's going to delay your project
Well, if
weeks
that's-
more.
Yeah.
If that's going to be the case, I want to get a license agreement so that we can move forward and fix our driveway. It's literally falling apart. We've got drainage issues. It's full of water right now. It needs to be taken care of.
Well, the licensing agreement is a separate issue.
Yes, on the agenda.
Yeah, so we could do that without, so. We could pass, the licensing agreement is it's a separate issue on here, so we possibly could pass that, but then again, you don't own the property that you're going to be putting the driveway on.
I don't own the property that my driveway's on right now.
Yeah.
But somebody, somewhere along the line in the past allowed this to occur.
Mm-hmm. So can we do that?
What?
They don't own the property and give them a license agreement for the driveway?
We can have a license agreement. Where's the agenda? I did the license agreement.
It's down there.
7B?
Yeah,
It's the same thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we can.
We can do that.
Table this and,
Well, we can adjust it or
yes, you
or
have that
table it
right,
and
too.
then vote on
Yeah.
the license agreement separately. Okay. We'll see what the board, when we get to that item, what they want to do.
Yeah, I've been trying to get a license agreement for 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Probably because this was all in the works, so. Okay, we'll see what we can do. Anyone else? Anyone else from the public have a question on any of the agenda items? Okay, then we'll move on to the amendments to the agenda. Is there any amendments to the agenda from the board? Seeing none? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Item 5 is a bill listing for the week of August 12th and August 19, 2019, and the total amount of $761,791.52, and the minutes of the board meeting held on August 12th, 2019. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Trustee Wagner, do
I'll make that motion.
you have a second? Trustee
I'll
Kazal?
make that second.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Polvis?
Yes. Item number 6A is the first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the Villa Park Municipal Code, setting fees for liquor license. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Application and renewal fees for liquor licenses have not been changed since 1992. For nearly all classes of licenses, Villa Park has the lowest fees of all of our surrounding communities. Staff recommends updating the original issuance fee and annual renewal fees for our liquor licenses, which will bring our liquor license fees to approximately the average of the immediate area. Going forward, liquor license fees will adjust annually with the CPI. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, this item is just the first reading for discussion, so if the board members have any questions or comments, if not, we'll move on to the next item, and this will be on our next agenda. Trustee Wagner.
I just want to say that I appreciate staff's looking at our fees so that they're more in line and so that we're getting the appropriate amount of revenue. And I can see this being done kind of systematically, so I appreciate it. And that's all I have.
I have one.
Trustee Murphy.
Can someone help me with the abbreviation CPI-U?
Consumer Price Index.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to the next
I have
item.
a question.
Oh, Trustee Tucker.
As they were evaluating from all the other villages, I take it because we were so low, what's the feedback going to be, the bounce back of all the area liquors in the area now that we're bouncing them up so high? Have you guys taken that into consideration?
Well, I definitely thought about it when I looked at the amount of the increases, but the argument is that you've been enjoying a very low rate for 20-some years. Time.
I'm just wondering, because now we're jumping quite a bit on some of these. If we're going to have hardship things, or them to say, hey, you know.
Well, you know, they've been enjoying at low rates for quite a while.
And how quickly will these go into effect by
First of the year,
the
when
first
new
of the year?
license
So
are.
they have to ride through this year, and then the first of the year,
Yeah,
they'll be switched over to the new rates.
yeah, they have their license already for this calendar year. This will be when they apply for the new ones.
Okay, so the license come up January 1st of every year? Is
Yes.
that way it works? Okay.
They'll get notice earlier than that, a month ahead of time. That's it? Okay, move on down to 6B is the first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, increasing the number of Class D package liquor license, basically, for the package sale of alcohol liquor. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The business located at 609 West North Avenue is changing from U.S. Liquors to Crown Liquors. The new business owners of Crown Liquors has successfully completed the background check. This ordinance will replace a Class D full package grocery or drugstore license that will be eliminated upon the closing or sale of U.S. Liquors. There will continue to be 8 total Class D licenses and 64 total liquor licenses. Thank you, Your Honor.
Just a reminder that our village ordinance code says if somebody goes out of business or closes their business or sells their business, that liquor license goes away. So the new owners have to reapply for a license because the one that was there does no longer exist. So that's why this is on here. The number of licenses, as it says here, will remain the same in the same class. So this, again, is just a first reading, so if anyone has any questions or comments, if not, we'll move on, and this will go on to the next meeting. Yes.
Assuming that the new rates come into effect January 1st, I'm assuming that this license transfer will be enjoying that reduced current cost?
It'll be at the current cost, and being toward the end of the year, it is prorated. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on then to, that'll be on our next board meeting agenda. Move on to item number 7A is the first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, accepting a plat of easement for stormwater management purposes at 1050 North Villa Avenue, Mickey's Linen. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Certain stormwater improvements have been constructed as part of a development at 1050 North Villa Avenue. The DuPage County countywide stormwater and floodplain ordinance requires all major and minor stormwater systems to be located within easements. The necessary legal documents have been prepared and signed by the owner. Acceptance of the easement by the village is required before it can be recorded. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Kazone?
Mr. President, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
This is first reading?
Yeah, I don't know why you have this first meeting.
Where's it say?
It's the first, it's
the only
It's a one and done.
Shouldn't this be
Okay,
a,
I'm sorry. Well, at least we'll correct that for these.
it's not a
documents.
code
One and done.
change?
Correct, I agree.
Okay. So trustee Kazone made the motion, and trustee
I'll second.
Cielo is seconding it. So, okay, questions or comments? Trustee Tucker.
I have a question. Where's this actually located?
Pardon me?
Where's the actual location of this?
Mickey's?
Building, yes.
It's on, what's the address? 1050 North
I know.
Villa.
Where is it actually located? Because I was trying to find it. Where is it actually located?
You mean what's it next to? Mm-hmm. It's in right there by the AT&T or SBC property? Yeah.
Just north of the 18th property? Is that where it's at?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I was trying to figure out where this was located in vicinity of anything else. Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Salela?
Yes.
President Wolfus?
Yes. Item 7B is the ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, vacating a public alleyway and selling to adjacent property owners. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village received a request from a property owner to acquire a portion of an unimproved dedicated right-of-way adjacent to the property owner's parcel. In response, staff researched property owner information and secured an appraisal for this right-of-way. 5 property owners of the 8 contacted expressed interest in purchasing a portion of the village alleyway. This ordinance allows the village to both vacate the alleyway and sell the property to the interested adjacent property owners. If approved, a public utility easement is necessary, as utilities exist in the right-of-way. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Do I have a motion for the ordinance?
Mr. President, I'll make the motion.
Trustee Kazone, do I have a second? Trustee Wagner?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah.
All
I do.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah. So, yes, trustee Carell.
I kind of feel for the people that are petitioning here. I know that alley has been kind of a nuisance for a long time. I live 2 doors down from there, and a couple of years ago when that tree did fall, we lost power for about 5 days. It was the 4th of July. And they've done a great job cleaning it up. It's like 200% better than it did. And seeing as that is kind of as it is an easement and it's not doing anything good for the village right now, I would have no problem giving that 20% break on that. Seeing especially as they've done the amount of work that they've done there.
So that would be, you're recommending 20% discount for all the property owners along
It would
that?
have
Correct.
It would have to be?
Correct.
Sorry. Okay. Anyone else? So we're going to need a motion?
A motion to amend
And
the ordinance, reducing each of the purchase prices noted by 20%.
or could we just do,
Where did this original assessment come from?
leave the rest of them up and just vote it?
Pardon?
Hold on a second. Could we just?
Yes, you could do that. The cost of it, yes, yes.
Your Honor, if those are village trees and they spent their funds,
Yeah.
they should not have done it.
That's an alternative, but you have to figure that out and negotiate a from podium.
What was the amount of the tree removals?
We paid $1,900 one time, and then $1,200 another time. So we've taken down probably about 20 trees.
So 3,100. It's another option. If you board wants, we could just correct their appraised value of $10,781, lowered by the 3,100 to compensate them for the trees. Otherwise, the other option is to lower them all by 20% because we have to do, that's the most we can do by law is 20%. So it's up to the board which motion you'd like to make. We have a motion to approve it, but we can also have a motion to amend the one for the Matsons at 15 West Adams, their dollar amount. So,
Mr. President,
trustee Patrick.
I would agree with the trustee Kazone on that. I believe that all residents should receive the same.
All residents should receive the same? Okay. So, yes, trustee Wagner.
Thank you, President Willis. Did staff have a conversation with these property owners before this memo was drafted?
Yes.
So,
We had a number of conversations because
Sure.
we had to find out if they were interested in
right,
purchasing the
right,
property.
exactly. That's what I thought, because I
Yeah.
know this has happened in my area as well. So I guess my question is, this is kind of surfacing at the last minute. I don't, if it's the board's decision to reduce these, that's fine, but I'm just I'm concerned about the last minute, and I appreciate what they've said, but
This isn't the last minute. We've been doing this for 14 months.
So,
all right, that's all I had, thank you.
so,
So
trustee
you-
Tucker.
I believe the community development made an assessment on the property earlier, because I know we got a memo on it earlier about pricing and that you were working with them on it. I'm curious on how you came up with those assessments earlier, that they've been, yeah.
This was a appraisal done by.
Patrick?
The village did contract with Zimmerman Real Estate Limited to come up with an appraisal of the property.
Okay.
Same as
and-
we did on the property over on Harrison that we did about 3 years ago.
Mr. Grill, if I may, how long does it normally take to make a proposal like this? I mean, I'm hearing 16 months. Why has it taken so long?
Because one of the owners passed away.
Okay.
And we had to go through extraordinary measures to find out who the new owner of the property was because without knowing the status from that one property owner, it would keep us from taking action on it.
Okay, thank you.
And was that the Walter Tilpel
Correct.
that passed away, so the Pencosts took over that property?
Not the Pentecost.
Okay. And so is that property still left open? That wasn't one of them on this thing then?
He chose, when we did find track down the owner of the property, he chose not to purchase his portion of adjacent alleyway.
Okay, because
And then
there's an
therefore that could
assessment
be-
on that it was originally given when they did that proposal. His property was part of that assessment, or the,
Still is part of the assessment.
Because it was adjacent to the Madsons, after the current owner chose to pass on it, I then offered it to the Madsons since they were adjacent to it. Just like the property right at the corner of Ardmore and Adams was offered to the Madsons, and then the property at the corner of Jackson and Ardmore was offered to the owners who originally asked the village to vacate the alley.
okay, so
Because
if
that
I'm
owner didn't want
correct,
it.
Dale Manson picked up some of that property that wasn't before,
He said he was interested in
that's why his amount went up.
correct.
Okay. So he picked up some of the property that was previously on this proposal or assessment that you did earlier, and that's where the difference comes in the pricing on the previous. Okay, that statement that you made, how did it change? I mean, as they're saying, the DuPage coming, how did their property assessment change from what he's doing then? How did he come up with that figure?
How did Zimmerman come up with this appraisal?
Yeah, different than what DuPage would assess it at. That's what I'm
Well,
curious.
real estate assessment's different.
Correct.
Okay, so he's assessing the property as if it's a real estate part instead of used property.
Well, appraisals and real estate values are two separate
Okay,
two separate numbers, because they're talking about actually different things. There's also allowances that are given in real estate assessments according to the county tax assessor that aren't reflected in an appraisal.
how did he come up there? He didn't appraise it as real estate then, right? Or is that a real estate? How did he
No, this is
determine
real
these
estate.
numbers? Okay, so he determined that right away as being real estate, is what he did instead of assessment of property? I'm trying to
I
figure
guess
out
I'm
why
not
the
following
difference
your
are changing.
questioning.
My question is, we came up, he gave us those totals before on the property, and then you were working with the property owners with the amount that each section was going to cost them additionally.
Correct, based on the
to-
appraisal.
Based on the appraisal.
Mm-hmm.
They brought to the podium that their property from DuPage County, how they assessed their taxes was different than what we're doing here.
Right.
Okay,
And again, the way the county assesses property for its tax purposes is entirely different than the way a appraiser appraisals property.
but the property would be an additional onto their property, except
Correct.
yours, which is a driveway. I understand that. Yours isn't actually adding property to your thing. We've
We all
got the
have
driveway.
driveways.
with
It is.
It
We all
is.
have driveways,
Okay,
so.
because both ends are driveways, from what I saw.
I'm
And the
paying
rest
taxes
of them
on
would
my
be
driveway.
backyard, yeah. The rest of them would be property that they'd be extending their backyards from the look of it.
Mhm. Trustee Murphy.
I just wanted to confirm that I'm correct in saying that the property owners who are opting not to participate all have driveways that access Ardmore Avenue. We're not landlocking them by letting other property owners purchase things that we offer to
That
the
is
three
correct.
who
The answer's
opted
no.
out.
So if anybody wants to make a motion.
Correct.
Okay. Trustee Kazal.
Mr. President, I'd like to change my motion. I
never
kind of agree
said-
with Manager Keener.
Right.
I think it would be better, I think the better idea for the village and better for the Madsons. So I would like to make a motion that we reduce the cost to the Madsons, the amount that they paid for the tree removal, and keep it at that, and then the rest of the people that would pay the appraised value.
Point of order.
Yes.
Wasn't the motion made to reduce it by 20%? Didn't
No,
you?
that motion wasn't.
Okay, I apologize.
Yep. We'll take care of that. So, I need a second.
I'll second that,
Okay.
Mr. President.
I have a comment,
Yes.
if I can. I have a concern over providing them personally with that rebate, and I like the idea of the 20% off for everyone. My concern is that, are these other residents going to come back and now say, we played favoritism with this particular family, and I don't know that these other people didn't do any improvements on their property, and now we're providing refunds to an independent case. So, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I'm asking the board, are we going to have repercussions from this stating that we've given a discount or a refund to only one of these residents? I have no idea if that's going to come back and turn around.
Ma'am, we understand. So, that's a good point, trustee. The answer to that, we have a motion, we have a second. If you don't agree, you vote no to the motion, and you could always make another motion to do it.
Yeah, it's just a tough call. I have no problem with it, but my concern is it going to come back to us in the form of one or more of these alternative residents suggesting that, you know, they did something wonderful too, and then we're going to have multiple people coming back asking for.
It's a good point, like I said, and that your vote would reflect how you feel. Yes. Trustee Patrick, I think, has a question. I can see his lips starting to move.
I just want to say for the record, I agree with Trustee Murphy on this. I did like the idea that, the original idea from Trustee Kazone about providing everybody with the same discount. I am in a hurry to get this taken care of. Time is of the essence. I believe 16 months is a long time to handle this. So I just, for the record, would like to say that I agree with Trustee Murphy.
Part of the reason for the long time was we had to make sure, get all those other property owners to respond, and Director Grill mentioned why it's dragged out. Trustee Wagner.
I just want to say, I also think it's more equitable to give across-the-board 20% discount as well.
Can we ask our residents that are representing their circumstances? We can't ask them which they, because we don't have, I've not seen any numbers on the impact of that 20%.
Oh, yeah. It's in your packet. It was $10,000, so, you know, $3,100. Or 2,000. No, well, yeah, 20% is 2,000, but the tree removal was 3,100.
So we're still going to take a hit.
So, I think that answers your question. So. Trustee Patrick.
I would hate to vote no for this, but again, I'm sticking to the point that I believe that it should be fair across the board for all of the residents.
Okay. If there are no other comments, we'll take a vote on the amendment.
Of $3,100.
So, of $3,100 off of the Madson's payment for their piece of property. Roll call vote.
Okay. Trustee Wagner.
No.
Trustee Silella.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
No.
Trustee Kazone.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
No.
Trustee Tucker.
Yes.
President Bolfus.
No. With that, the motion fails. Do we have another motion?
20%.
I
For the
will
20?
like to make the motion for the 20% for all residents.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I got a comment.
Yes.
Why would we disregard a appraisal that we paid for to come up with a fair market value at a whim of 20%? That's my question.
What's your comment?
That's my comment. And I'll vote no.
Okay. Anybody else? So the motion is to lower all the appraisals by 20% on the property. Any other comments or questions? Okay. With none, we'll have a roll call vote on that amendment.
Okay, trustee Kazone,
No.
trustee Tucker,
No.
trustee Wagner,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Salella,
No.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
President Bolfus.
Yes. So is it 20%? Okay. Okay, now we're back to the original question, is on the, where are we on? 7B, is it?
Yes.
So we have a motion for that. So we already have the motion. So
Motion for
the sale of the property
at 20%.
at 20% discount, reduction in price. So, any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote on that.
Okay, trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Tucker,
No.
trustee Salella,
No.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Kazone,
No.
trustee Wagner,
Yes.
President Bolfus.
Yes. Okay. And we'll, think our the forestry department can cut down that one tree?
Yes.
Okay. Put a ribbon around that tree that you want cut down, please. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to item 7C, an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending Appendix C of the Villa Park Municipal Code, providing for the regulation of signs. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. At the direction of the Village Board, the Zoning and Planning Commission held a public hearing on April 11, 2019, on a text amendment that would add electronic billboards as a special use in the zoning ordinance. This item was continued for additional information, and on June 13th, the Zoning and Planning Commission unanimously recommended against this text amendment. Should the Village Board wish to approve this text amendment, they should approve the attached ordinance. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Wagner?
I'll make a motion so that we can vote on it.
You okay? Do we have a second?
I will second.
Trustee Patrick? Okay. So the question is, this item came up before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they voted unanimously not to make this amendment. Okay, so now it came back to us. If we agree with the Planning and Zoning Commission, then we should vote no on this ordinance. If we don't agree to it, we want it to go in effect, then you vote yes. Okay.
Mr. President, just one comment. For the public, could we just clarify the difference between billboards and signs?
Sure. The definition of the difference, we'll let Patrick grill, he's got this all down, but billboards are those large
Yep.
electronic ones, so, for the public, okay.
Billboards are, in essence, large off-premise signs that contract with different companies to provide advertising.
Sure.
What we have in the code right now is we don't allow electronic billboards. Actually, we don't allow manual billboards either, for that matter, anymore. So all the ones that exist out there are all legal nonconforming. And then we have an electronic message board in the sign code that's associated with individual business signs that allows somebody to use an electronic message center as part of their overall signage so long as it is no more than 50% of the overall total of the sign. So
Thank you.
that's the difference.
Thank you.
Trustee Kazone?
Just a quick question. What was P&Z's reasoning for not wanting this ordinance?
I think probably for the same reason, I provided the minutes of the Zoning and Planning Commission in your packet. But it's along the line of they felt that it was going to provide too much nuisance as people were driving along and the changing of the billboard on a semi-regular basis. And the fact that billboards are prohibited, any type of billboard is prohibited right now in the ordinance.
Okay.
Trustee Wagner.
Thank you. I understand the zoning and planning's action, and I understand what we need to do, but isn't it true that the other reason is that the updated codes that CMAP help us with, don't they kind of preempt this in a way?
Well, what happened is the board actually adopted this electronic billboard back in 2010, but never codified it. And then what happened, even though it should have been in both the village code and the zoning code, when the Zoning and Planning Commission and the village board adopted a new zoning ordinance, anything that was not in there became null and void. So that's what caused us to have to come back to this process.
Understand. Thank you. That's all I have.
Trustee Tucker.
My question is, if we approve this, are we approving 8-16 also, or can we change that statement? Because I have a problem with 8-16, the
Okay.
wording on it.
8-16.
Where it states that no commercial advertising sign should be permitted on vacant lots except for real estate signs and electronic billboards. I have a problem with that allowance.
That's for most billboards.
I would amend that part if we approve electronic signs on those two strips.
So 8-16 reads, signs on vacant lots, no commercial advertising sign shall be permitted to be placed on vacant lots, with the exception of real estate signs and electronic billboards.
Right, I would want to amend that thing if we approve it,
Okay.
because I have an issue with that, allowing that to go through.
I'm trying to, was that in the actual ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so, let's make sure we understand this right. So if we vote no on this item, 7C,
The whole ordinance.
the
fails.
whole ordinance fails,
But we need the first section on it.
but we need the first section.
This first section of this ordinance, as presented to you tonight, deals with when we need a permit, because that wasn't in the code. So that if you determine you do not want billboards, I would ask that the ordinance be amended to delete Section 2 and Section 3, so that Section 1, which clarifies when you need a permit for a sign, be left standing. That is something that had been left out of our code in all this redoing, and we realized we need that. So I would suggest, if I may, sir,
Sure.
that Trustee Tucker makes a motion to remove Section 2, see how that goes, and then decide on Section, if someone is opposed to billboards, they would make a motion to remove Section 3.
Actually, Section 3 is the one with the electronic billboard in it.
Yeah, I'm saying taking one at a time.
Okay.
Your issue is Section 2, make a motion to remove that.
So section 8.2.16?
Right, so the motion would be a motion to amend the ordinance presented to delete Section 2 of the ordinance, which is 8.2.16.
But isn't-
Okay, so there would be Section 2 and not Section 3.
No, it'd be Section 2 of the ordinance, yes,
Okay.
yes.
But,
Well, that's the First Amendment.
yeah, but this whole thing here, if we vote no, this whole thing is gone, right?
I'm going to ask that you not vote no on the whole thing.
Oh.
That you amend it to get rid of 2 or 3 or whatever is the position of the village board, and in any event, and in all events, you permit the ordinance to pass with section 1.
And section 1,
Is the permitting for the signs
Is
itself.
the requirement as to when and where you must get a permit for a sign.
okay. Yeah, permits required?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
And it was all put into one ordinance because it was all amending the sign chapter in the code.
What about all this other good stuff?
That's all about billboards,
And then that'll all go away, right?
depending on the,
Depending on the vote.
yes,
Okay, see if I got this right.
okay.
So if we make these amendments and if they pass at a motion, okay? So then section 2.16, and then another motion to get rid of section 8, section 8.8. Yeah, really, all section 3.
Yes. you
Yes,
should say that,
section
yeah.
2 and 3.
Yeah.
Okay, then those two would go away. Those had to do with billboards. Okay.
Correct.
But then the rest of it, that the Planning and Zoning Commission voted against, would stay in effect, which
They
has
didn't,
to,
they didn't vote against that.
okay, all right,
They didn't vote against the permits, they voted against the billboard.
okay. I got it, I think. Trustee Wagner.
President Wilkins, my concern here is, and I'm trying to listen to the discussion of what we're doing or what might possibly be amended. For me, at least, just so that I have a full understanding of what we're doing, I don't have the code in front of me. I would prefer, my thought is that I would like to see us follow zoning and planning's recommendation, and then if there is a need or if there's a desire to amend it further, that it come back in the form of a memo, just so that I have a full understanding of what we're doing.
Yeah, it's,
I see the
It's a
rolling
little
eyes.
confusing.
But I see the rolling of eyes, but that's how I feel. I want to make sure I understand exactly what we're doing.
yeah, I see the attorney's point is that section 1 is just saying what needs to have permits. And the other section 2 and section 3 have to do with electronic billboards, which I think was the intent of the Planning and Zoning Commission, is not to allow electronic billboards. So, trustee Kazone.
Quick question, too. 8.2.16, if we take that out, does that mean that if you have a vacant lot, you can't put a real estate sign on it? Because it says, or is that codified someplace else in the ordinance?
No.
So if we amend section 2, we should say, or 8.2.16, we say, no commercial advertising shall be permitted to place on vacant lots with the exception of real estate signs, and leave it at that. Would we have to do that?
May I make a
Sure, go
suggestion?
ahead.
Could we, could we get a direction from the board on billboards? Just a general direction. We're in an open meeting, we can do that. If the majority of the board said, we don't want billboards, then I would suggest we table this and I come back to you, Christine, as trustee Wagner is suggesting.
That would be a whole lot cleaner,
Yes.
so
So
less confusing.
we need a direction as to how to bring this back.
Well, I think, can we do that all in the motion to the table?
No, I need some direction. The
Okay.
motion to table is, then you
Okay.
can't discuss it. They can't tell me anything.
That's true. So basically, how do you feel about billboards?
Straw poll.
Straw poll? We just,
I'm not a fan of billboards.
okay,
I agree.
all right. This side?
I agree.
I'm the same, I agree.
Yep,
I agree.
all right.
Okay.
So do I.
Motion to
So
table.
the attorney has her direction, and now we're looking for a motion to table item 7C. No, we already have a motion.
No, you want a motion to table so I can bring back the
Yep.
ordinance just with that provision in it about the permit.
So we need a motion table so that
Yes,
you
sir.
can bring back
Yeah,
an
a
ordinance.
clean ordinance, yeah.
Okay. Somebody
I'd like to
wanna-
make a motion to table item 7C.
So the attorney can bring back a
Exactly.
clean ordinance.
I'll
Clean
second.
ordinance, yes.
That one was third.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? Thank you. So we have a vote on the motion to table. Clerk Carnecki?
Okay, trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Wolfus?
Yes. Well, that's two confusing ones in a row.
But you got us
Okay.
through them.
Number 8A is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, improving final change order number 1 on the contract between the Village of Villa Park and Superior Road Striping, Inc. for the 2018 pavement marking program. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village has a contract with Superior Road Striping, Inc. of Melrose Park, Illinois, for the 2018 pavement marking program in the amount of $51,489.10. Proposed final change order number 1 consists of the final balancing of contract quantities as measured in the field. The net amount of this proposed final change order number 1 is a deduction of $1,022.65 for an adjusted final contract amount of $50,466.45. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion for the resolution?
I make the
Trustee
motion.
Kosciello. Second, Trustee Wagner.
I'd like to second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Wolfus?
Yes. Item number 8B is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving an engineering service agreement with Trans Systems Corporation of Schaumburg, Illinois, for Phase 3 construction engineering for the Astor, Myrtle, and Euclid project in the amount not to exceed $229,747. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Trans Systems Corporation submitted a proposal to the village to provide Phase 3 construction engineering services, street, utility, and drainage improvements for the Astor, Myrtle, and Euclid Improvement Project. This resolution approves a contract with Trans Systems Corporation for Phase 3 construction services in an amount not to exceed $229,747, which will be taken from the street improvement, stormwater, water, wastewater sewer separation, and wastewater capital funds. It is anticipated that the IEPA loan funding will also support this project. Staff recommends approval of the agreement.
Do I have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Wagner.
I'd like to make that motion.
Do we have a second?
That's it.
Trustee Cielo? Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Murphy?
Was this something that should have gone out to bid, and if so, did it?
This is already out to bid. I believe the bids are due, bid opening is this on the 9th, I think, of 10th of September 10th. And this is, it's going to be, this has been a long overdue project, and glad to see this finally moving forward. So the bids are out there right now. I think you had a bid meeting in the last week or so to go over some of the specs. So they'll be opening them on the 10th. They'll have to review the bids to make sure it meets all the qualifications. So probably be back on our agenda maybe the end of September or first part of October. So,
Thank you.
okay. Anyone else? Trustee Kazal?
Will we be able to get construction this year yet, do you think? If it comes that late?
Well, yes. That's what we're hoping for. So,
Kevin's saying no.
yes, he is. No, he's not. He's saying yes. We're hoping for it, right? Yeah, go ahead.
We would certainly like to get construction started this year, but given the late date and the EPA review time, we feel it's unlikely that the EPA will give us a green light to move forward with the project before we could actually see the snow fly. So given that it's September, we're looking at probably December for their approval, unfortunately.
So then you're looking at construction in
As soon
in
as
the
weather
spring.
breaks in the spring, correct.
I don't like that. Okay. These people over there have been waiting a long time.
Yes, they have.
So,
Yes, they have.
okay. Any other questions? Trustee not Wagner. Tucker?
Why did we decide to go with this engineering company when we used Chris before on the same project?
I'm
We
sorry,
already
when we
had
used-
another
before?
engineering company that was working on Phase 2 of it. Why did we decide to switch companies for Phase 3?
We actually tend to make a point of using a different firm for Phase 3 than we do for Phase 2. The reason being is that way we provide checks and balances, that a new firm has the ability to oversee the work of another firm, and if there's something that needs to be brought to our attention or there's issues that need to be dealt with, that way you're not having the same people working on the Phase 3 as you did on the Phase 2.
Do we compare pricing when we decide engineering or not really?
We do not, and in fact, we are not allowed to by law.
By law, you cannot do that?
That's
Okay.
correct.
So they're not a bidding process that...
That's correct.
We can compare prices on one engineer over another?
Correct.
Okay. And coming up there, you said December is a possibility that we'll know if we will get the IEPA loan?
That's correct. Given the September 10th bid opening, we would then present a contract award recommendation to the board. If that recommendation is approved, then a contingent contract award would be given to the contractor. A large packet of paperwork would then have to go down to the Illinois EPA in Springfield for their review and approval, which typically is taking 2 to 3 months at this time. And if that is approved by EPA, then we would have President Bolthus sign a loan agreement after EPA approves it.
Okay, and will that affect the bidding process? I mean, are you putting the bids after we know that we have the IPA on board, or before? You said you're making the bids before, correct?
Well, we have preliminary approval from the EPA already. That step is required before we can even go to bid. So they have to review all of our paperwork, our application, our financials, et cetera, to make sure that we're in good shape for the loan. Then we go out to bid, as we are doing right now. And then on September 10th, we'll open the bids. Assuming that those are favorable and we wish to move forward with contract award, we will present that recommendation to you. And if that recommendation is approved, then we would move forward with the EPA final approval of the actual loan agreement, and we would proceed with loan agreement execution.
Okay, and my understanding is this engineering company goes with the contract company that we have the bid with, correct? Or we have an engineer company that making a design when we don't even know we're going to finish it?
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand.
We've got an engineering company that's basically putting construction engineering on what's going to happen. And you're going to bid for a company to do the construction on it.
That's correct.
And that engineering company oversees the company that's doing the construction. Whole point is, if we don't get the IEP loan, where are we at?
If that were to happen, and it's not likely because we've already been through all of the preliminary steps, so we've cleared 90% of the hurdles in the process already. If for some reason that weren't to move forward, then this agreement would simply not proceed. And we would not use the services of Trans Systems for the project, and we would simply not pay them for those services. Now, that being the case, we obviously very much want to move forward with construction of this project, and we have every reason to believe that the bids will come in favorably and that we will move forward with contract award.
Okay, so we're approving something, but if it does not come through down the line, we are not going to use their services.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Me too.
Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Quizzella?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Okay. Item 8C is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a license agreement for a portion of the alley right-of-way between the Village of Villa Park and the owners of 205 West Madison Street and 213 West Madison Street and 814 South Harvard. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The property owners of 205 West Madison Street, 213 West Madison Street, and 814 South Harvard Avenue wish to pave and maintain a shared driveway in the alley right-of-way located south of Madison Street and west of Harvard Avenue. A license agreement would be needed to grant the property owners permission for the proposed construction, maintenance, and continued use of the right-of-way. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do we have a motion for the resolution?
Mr. President, I'll make that motion.
Trustee Kazone, do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Cielo, okay. Any questions or comments? Trustee Murphy?
I have a question. Does the village own that, or do the residents own that?
The village owns it.
And the village will continue to own it
Yes.
and allow access, but the residents are asking to upgrade.
Yes,
So they're going to pay for all the expenses associated with it.
yes. And it gives us the right, if we have to dig it up, we can dig it up. So, okay. Anyone else? Trustee Wagner?
I understand the license agreement. Was there a conversation with them about possibly them purchasing this property?
I really don't know.
I don't have the answer for that either.
Don't have an answer for that.
Okay,
Does Kevin have an answer?
maybe.
This is a slightly different situation than the alley vacation that was discussed previously tonight. And the reason for that is that 3 different homes have a shared driveway coming through this alleyway. And so there wouldn't be an opportunity to vacate it without, as someone had said previously, landlocking those residents.
Understand. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Okay, trustee Wagner,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Tucker,
Yes.
trustee Salella.
Yes.
Trustee Kazone.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
President Volkes.
Yes. Item 8D is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a licensing agreement for a portion of the alley right-of-way between the Village of Villa Park and the owner of 15 West Adams Street. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The property owner of 15 West Adams Street wishes to repave and maintain a driveway in the alley right-of-way located on south of Adams Street and adjacent to the property on the east. A license agreement would be needed to grant the property owner permission for the proposed construction, maintenance, and continued use of the right-of-way. Thank you.
We probably will need a motion to table this, but we can do it. No, I think we should, your preferred way, not
You have a motion for the resolution, please? Trustee Kazone?
Mr. President, I'll make the motion.
Second.
A second.
Trustee Ciala. Patrick Grill. The question is, what's different between this request and the request on?
This request was a fallback in case the alley vacation was not approved or was going to be moved on. And it would allow them then to at least improve the alley through a license agreement. But since the village passed the alley vacation, it really made this line item moot.
Right.
We haven't said we're buying it.
Yeah.
Okay. Buddies a little bit.
I would table the license agreement until we can resolve
Straighten
all
this
of
out.
Yeah.
Okay. Trustee Wagner?
I'd like to make a motion to table item 8D.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other, well, there's no questions on the motion to table, so we just need a vote.
Okay. Trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kazone,
Yes.
trustee Tucker,
Yes.
trustee Wagner,
Yes.
trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Salella.
Yes.
President Volkes.
Yes. Okay.
The problem with this is that the way we have been requested to vacate is not an even division of that alleyway. And so given until the buy-sell is resolved, we cannot grant a license because there's property and we don't know what would be tied up. We'd have to re-look. Or,
So are we talking everybody who's been offered the alley now has to decide if they're buying it or not before we can fix our driveway?
our understanding, Patrick, you should address this, is that I thought you had go-aheads from all the property owners that they were acquiring it, and that's why it's an uneven acquisition.
Correct,
Including the 15?
including 15. They said they were willing to do it.
And so how long will this process take before we can fix our driveway?
But if they want to buy it, it's done.
Well, if you want to buy it, it's done. You can, if you buy the property, you can put your driveway in, because it's your property then.
So we don't have to wait till this is all completely wrapped up with the bow and everything else?
It is
It
wrapped
is.
up, the ordinance, once you agree to purchase, the ordinance is drafted, the ordinance will be recorded with a plat of vacation, and it is done.
And it's your driveway, your piece of property.
Right, you have more than a driveway.
And then you can file for the permits. Well, you can work that out with Patrick tomorrow or tonight. So, okay, so this motion has been tabled, so we'll move on to 8E, which is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois, for construction of the 631 East Wildwood Avenue and Rotary Park site improvement in the amount not to exceed $430,232.38. Manager Keno.
Thank you, Your Honor. In January 2019, the Village Board approved the purchase of the commercial property located at 631 East Wildwood Avenue. A portion of the property is currently located in the 100-year floodplain. The Village Board also approved the design of a project to remove the affected area from the floodplain by providing flood storage at a nearby Rotary Park. The design has been completed and the project has been competitively bid. A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois submitted the lowest responsible bid for the project in an amount of $430,232.38. If approved, funds for this project will be taken from the St. Charles Road TIF account number 28-502-01-401. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Wagner?
I'd like to make that motion.
Do you have a second?
I will second that.
Trustee Patrick? Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Murphy?
Yes, do we have an engineer that can help us to understand what the probability is once this remediation is complete as to whether we would anticipate any additional flooding or what our liability as a village will be if it does?
Yes, I think Kevin can handle that. And also, I think it also alleviates some of the flooding in that whole area, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yes, actually, by definition of meeting the requirements needed to complete this project, we should be alleviating the situation in the area. We will be providing what's called compensatory storage, which is to say that for every cubic foot we fill on the 631 Wildwood property, we will be excavating at least 1.5 cubic feet somewhere else, whether it be Rotary Park, whether it be the right-of-way next to 631. So by virtue of doing that, we are increasing the volume, the stormwater volume out there by at least 50% of what's there now. And certainly that will help the situation compared to what is currently existing out there.
When you say that will help the situation, does that mean that it will be entirely remediated and will not flood in the future?
No, unfortunately I cannot say that. I wish I could, but we aren't providing enough additional volume to address, every possible storm event out there.
And this appears to be our best alternative from your perspective?
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand.
The direction that they're taking as far as the fill, you're very confident that that's the best direction we can take at this point, even though we're not 100% confident that it will keep this property from flooding in the future?
Well, it will certainly improve the stormwater situation compared to what's out there now. In terms of the goal of removing the 631 Wildwood property from the floodplain, I would say yes. This is the best option for that.
Thank you.
Trustee Kazone.
It's a couple of questions on the construction. Are they going to be reusing any of that dirt to increase the elevation at AT&T, or are they just going to bring in like gravel?
Actually, most of the elevation at AT&T will be crushed aggregate, will be gravel. Since we expect the property to have some sort of commercial use in the future, we don't want to put basically earth underneath that parking lot. We'd like it to be something that can hold up in the future. What we will be doing is scraping off the topsoil at Rotary Park, stockpiling it, and then replacing it after the excavation at Rotary Park is complete so that we're saving cost and also reducing haul-off and all the other environmental issues going along with that.
So they'll be able to keep 100% of the dirt that they're excavating?
The topsoil, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Manos, what's the time frame on completion? What's the time frame on the completion of that project?
I have to go back and check, but I believe we have a 60-day contract time. And if the board were to approve that contract, we would move forward on contract execution immediately and get things rolling out there as soon as that contracts are executed.
Thank you.
Trustee Murphy?
Do we have any other alternatives that would give us a higher probability of no future flooding on that property?
Not without significant additional cost, is the answer I would have to provide.
But it will be removed, you believe, from the floodplain?
Yes, there is no question that the 631 property will be removed from the floodplain.
And they have some stringent requirements, right?
Yes. It's actually, the chance of flooding at the 631 property itself will be less going forward than it is now.
My concern is less than what? I don't know. Maybe the definition of removal from the floodplain would be helpful.
Sure. So the 100-year floodplain is the area that is likely to be underwater in a 100-year storm event. That's not an exact science, but that's to give a general idea. So by moving or filling a property to the point that it's above that 100-year floodplain elevation, the chances of that property flooding again in the future become less.
And what do we define as a flood? A flood 2 inches, 6 inches, 12 inches?
It depends on the circumstances. The state of Illinois, I believe it's the Illinois State Water Survey, releases statistical data that outlines 100-year storm, 50-year storm, 10-year storm, etc. And so those are the numbers that are utilized when these designs are developed.
Trustee Stone?
No, I was just going to
Okay.
make that point.
Anything else, Murphy?
Not for me, no. Thank you.
Trustee Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. Mandels. If that property were to be decided to be sold in the future, would there be any litigation held against us if that property did in fact flood?
I would have to defer that question since I'm not an attorney, but
No, when, the contract proposal is that we would do this remediation, and the understanding is it's unlike hazardous waste.
Okay.
There you have a different issue, as you would appreciate.
Thank you.
Trustee Wagner?
If I'm not mistaken, the engineering for this was done by Chris Burke Engineering, isn't that correct?
Yes.
And they're a pretty reputable company that has done a lot of work for us, and they do a good job. So I have a lot of confidence in them, and that this will be handled adequately. So, more than adequately. That's all I have. Thank you.
Trustee Tucker?
We have certification that DuPage is going to take this out of the floodplain?
it wouldn't actually be the county. It would be FEMA itself.
FEMA's in charge of taking it out of the floodplain?
That's correct. The paperwork would be submitted to them.
Okay. And we have a guarantee they're going to take this out of the floodplain if we do this?
It's a question of whether the elevation is above the floodplain elevation or not. And the contract requires that that final condition be above the floodplain elevation. So there's really no question here that we would achieve that condition. It's just a question of the time frame needed for FEMA to review and approve that paperwork.
So the elevations are already known and documented by FEMA?
That's correct. That's correct. Our contract prescribes that that condition, that final condition that gets us out of the floodplain must be met. And so at that point, it's, I don't want to say it's a formality, but at that point, it's a matter of submitting the paperwork to FEMA, having them verify what we are providing them in terms of documentation, having them sign off on the process.
So they're just signing off that we have done what we put through,
That's
that this will
correct.
be taken out of the
That's
floodplain?
correct. That we're documenting the process, that we documented that we met the conditions required, and for that reason, that property and the floodplain on it it's no longer there.
And how much a Rotary Park are we giving up to do this?
The park itself will still be just as usable as it is right now. Because of how large it is and the amount of excavation that's needed, it'll still be roughly, you won't even notice much of a difference, to be honest. For comparison, we've got the Jackson Pond going on the south side. I imagine there's some nerves about Rotary Park looking like that. We aren't talking about anywhere near that kind of excavation. We're talking about typically average about a foot, maybe a little bit more in some areas, but to the point where it won't really be noticeable after construction.
So the park is still going to be usable? It's not going to be that big of a
The park will-
definition that it's,
The park will have as much open space as it does now.
okay.
Trustee Kazone?
Do you have a rough idea how long it takes FEMA to take it out? I know that's kind of
It's
a loaded question, but.
yes, it's not something you can pinpoint exactly, but we've been told right now the process is running 60 to 90 days, and closer to the 60. So that is what we are hoping for.
Anyone else? With that, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bolkus?
Yes. Item 8F is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, rejecting all bids for the 2019 Lions Park Basketball Court Reconstruction Project. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village recently bid the 2019 Lions Park Basketball Court Reconstruction Project. Only one bid was received, and the bid was considerably higher than expected. A formal rejection of the bid received is recommended. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Wagner?
I'd like to make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Ayala? Okay. Any questions or comments? Trustee Murphy?
I just have one question for Parks and Rec. That basketball court, if I remember correctly, that wasn't in the feasibility study if we look for other alternatives for that facility. Is that correct?
Director Gola is...
Well, the location was on a conceptual design. If we did the rec center, that would be part of the area where the rec center and/or parking would go.
Correct. So I guess I'm confused as to why we'd be looking at a potential reconstruction project when we're also discussing a feasibility study that includes a design that would not leave that as a basketball court.
Well, the basketball court is in need of repair, and it's been used quite often. And if we do a rec center, if the timeline is 5 years, we would get 5 years of use out of the basketball court.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
President Bolkus?
Yes. Item 8G is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with Michaels Corporation of Brownsville, Wisconsin for construction of the 2019 sewer rehabilitation program in the amount not to exceed $1,156,040.70. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village expects to receive a low-interest loan funding from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency for the 2019 sewer rehabilitation program. The scope of work includes sanitary sewer laying, manhole rehabilitation, sanitary sewer service reinstatement, and sanitary sewer point repairs. The project included both a base bid and one alternate, so that in the event bid prices were favorable, additional work could be completed under a single contract. The project was competitively bid with 4 bids received. Michaels Corporation of Brownsville, Wisconsin submitted the lowest responsible bid for the base bid project in the amount of $1,156,040.70. If approved, the village would be responsible for paying for project costs and requesting loan reimbursement. The Illinois EPA will also need to review and approve the award of a contract after village board consideration. Funds would be taken from wastewater fund account number 83-502-0241. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion for the resolution? Trustee Kazone?
Mr. President, I'll make that motion.
Second. Trustee
Second.
Patrick?
I will second.
Okay. Any questions or comments on the board? Trustee Tucker?
I have a question. What was the alternate part that we were going to add to this?
No, that was in our material. You got that, Manager?
Because I was trying to figure that out. What was the alternate that we removed out of there?
Oh, it was in our material. Should have been on your website. What's that, 8G, I think? Come here.
Because I did read that they gave us the alternate, the lowest bid on the alternate too, but what did we remove?
No, that's the next one.
There was one before.
I'm on the wrong one.
Okay, it says the alternate was in the amount of 106,000, and what was it?
What property were we removing, not the pricing? What was the alternate trying to cover?
Okay. Yeah, here it is. In your packet that you received, it's on second to the last page. The alternate is listed there. Some surface televising, some sewer cleaning and televising, some cured in-place sewer 8-inch. So there is a list here. Some dye testing. So what streets or what pieces of, let's see. I don't see any streets, it's just the bids. Yeah, it gives you the linear feet, but if you're asking me which pieces of the sewer line we're talking about?
Yes, I was curious on what was going to be included in that alternate that we were going to add to it from the base project bid.
Do you know, Kevin? Okay, is that the ones down on the south side of town?
Actually on the northwest.
Okay,
I believe there was a map included in the packet.
yep.
And if you look, there are two colors highlighted, three in fact. There's red, which is part of the base bid lining, and then there are yellow segments, which was the alternate work. And the alternate work is no different in scope than the base bid. It's just simply identified as a slightly lower priority based on its condition being better than that which was in the base bid.
Do you have that, trustee?
Yeah, I
Donato can give you
remember
mine.
seeing it, and it's in the same area of what we're working on, but that's what I was curious. That's the alternate, was the yellow section on it. Was what we were going to try to add on to the original bid.
We're recommending just the base bid be awarded based on the dollars putting us over that.
Well, I
dollar
understand, but when we went out for the bid, we were adding those
Correct.
sections to try to add on later as an alternate, or was that part of the original bid?
Well, it would be up to the board to decide whether or not to award that alternate. If that was not done now, then that work would be reserved for a future lining program and completed at that time.
Thank you.
Is this all part of the RJN evaluation?
Yes.
And that was done, boy, that's a number of years ago in our long-range plan.
Yes.
7
yes, it
years,
was.
maybe?
I'd have to go back and check the actual dates, but you're correct. It was quite a long
Yeah,
time ago.
so we had this plan for quite a while, so. Okay, and that's also the same time we did the rate study, I think? Was it, did we do the rate study to figure out how we're gonna pay for all this stuff?
I don't recall the exact dates off
You
the
might
top of
not
my
have
head.
been here. So, trustee Murphy.
Yes, this may tie back into a discussion we had earlier. The first line suggests the village expects to receive low-interest loan funding. Are you feeling that the funding is financially viable? Is it like the previous discussion we had earlier suggesting that we got pre-approval and we just need to do what they're telling us to do, and there's a very high probability that we'll get that low-interest funding?
That's correct. We've already been, this is actually identical process
Okay.
to that
That
other
was-
loan. So we've already been through those initial hurdles, received the preliminary approval that we mentioned on the previous one. And now that bids have come forward, we would just need a contingent contract award from the board in order to move forward with EPA final approval of that loan.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call vote.
Okay, trustee Tucker.
Yes.
Trustee Silella.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Kazone.
Yes.
President Boltus.
Yes. Item 8H is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving final change order number 1 to the contract between the Village of Villa Park and A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. for the 2018 pavement patching program for a deduction in the amount of $4,586.65. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village has a contract with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois for the 2018 pavement patching program in the amount of $198,800. Proposed final change order number 1 consists of the final balancing of contract quantities as measured in the field. The net amount of this proposed final change order number 1 is a deduction of $4,586.65 for an adjusted final contract amount of $194,213.35. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do I have a motion for the resolution?
Look to make that motion.
Trustee Wagner, do I have a second?
A second.
Trustee Ellen, okay. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Stilello?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
President Volkes?
Yes. Okay, then we have item number 9 is public comment on non-agenda items. Clerk Kornecki, anybody
No
signed
one
up?
signed up for that.
Anybody from the public have a non-agenda item they'd like to make comments on? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the clerk's report.
No report tonight, thank you.
Okay, trustees' report, we'll start on the right. Trustee Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have a few things.
Sure.
First of all, I would like to say that last week school started for District 45. District 48 starts tomorrow. Last week, my kids and I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with each other and away from their friends that were in school District 45. We were able to spend a lot of that time at the Villa Park Library, and I just wanted to commend the staff at the Villa Park Library, and the construction that's going on over there is amazing. It's taking shape. It's looking really nice. If you get a chance to go over there and take a peek, I really encourage you to do that. So I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to the Villa Park Library and their staff. Second of all, the Villa Park Cable Commission is looking for volunteers to help make content. If you are at all interested in learning how to utilize cameras, editing, and anything of the such, feel free to contact me anytime. We are looking for volunteers. Lastly, I want to talk about a resident here in Villa Park. His name is Bill Eisner. Bill Eisner is a long-term resident of Villa Park, and he's also a firefighter in Longview. And recently, last week, Bill was awarded a nice award for actually saving the life of a man that was in cardiac arrest. And I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention because I think sometimes we forget that the men and women in Villa Park, or everywhere for that matter, that put on a uniform every day, whether that be firefighters or the police department, put their lives on the line every single day that they go onto the job not knowing what to expect. And we have a resident, Bill Eisner, that was just awarded that for saving someone's life, and I think that was something that should be recognized. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Ciala?
No report this evening.
Trustee Kazone?
Just a couple things. Community Pride Commission is meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock up here on the second floor, Village Hall. So if anyone's interested in coming out and seeing what's going on with Community Pride, feel free to. And secondly, on August 15th, the Villa Park or the Villa Avenue business owners had a meeting, and I received a call from one of the owners inviting myself and President Bolfus to the meeting. Main concern was parking over there, and obviously we've been talking about AK mulch, and so a lot of that was brought up. But we had a good attendance by staff. Again, the main thing, their biggest concern is parking with all the businesses that have been going there and growing, and the issues out there. But a couple things were brought up, and I think staff is still addressing them. One of them is additional parking on Villa, if we can make additional spots there, additional signs directing people to the park on Park Avenue with the new spots that we put in there last year, and then possibly making Central one way and also maybe Villa too. So just letting everybody know we are addressing the issues, parking over there, and staff is looking at it, and I believe the business owners are going to have another meeting in a couple weeks, and I'm sure traffic and safety will get involved in that. And it was a meeting of just the business owners, and we were invited there, and I know a couple of trustees had questioned that, but because of the Open Meetings Act, and it was not a published meeting, I just was there with myself and President Balthus, so, but figured I'd give that report.
Thank you.
That's it.
Trustee Wagner?
Oh, thank you, President Bultis. Just a couple things. Just to remind folks about the solar hour that's going to be held tomorrow at Iowa Community Center from 7 to 9 p.m. The program is put on by the Citizens Utility Board. It's a very interesting program. Talks about all aspects. If you're interested in installing solar panels, and they're looking for people who are interested in participating in a joint buy that will occur at the end of September. Just want to also remind folks again about Love Your Neighbor Day, Saturday, September 28th. They're still looking for volunteers. And if you go to the Christian Church of Villa Park website, or that you can sign up for that, and there's flyers all over the different areas in the village. Just want to let folks know about the Junior Women's Club. You can sign up for their Trick or Trot, their 5K run. It's a lot of fun. It's going to occur on Saturday, October 26, 2019. Early registration ends October 8th. And I had a lot of fun going to this last year, and the highlight of going to this, President Bultis, was I got to meet Buzz Lightyear, also known as Trustee Patrick. So it was great fun seeing him dressed up, and the kids loved that as well. So this is a major way for them to raise money for their scholarship program. And I just want to piggyback on what Trustee Kazone said about Pride. The Pride Commission, they're going to have their Paws on the Path program on Saturday, September 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the gazebo. And you don't have to be a pet owner to enjoy this program. There's a lot of different groups there that have rescue pets, and it's very enjoyable. And just with respect to the business owners meeting, I think some of us were disappointed, and I don't really think it would be, at least my understanding of the Open Meetings Act is, if you were a passive attendee not discussing an issue and are there to witness or listen to a discussion, there's no violation of the Open Meetings Act. And a good example was the opioid crisis program that Representative Conroy and Costa Howard put on. There were 4 of us at that meeting as well, so there's no violation there. Just to let you know, the Traffic and Safety Commission, their last meeting, they had residents from Central Avenue who are interested or very concerned about the traffic issue there and safety issues. So it would have been a good thing for them to be invited as well. So I hope that we learn about the upcoming meeting and we all get a chance to attend. I think that's a good thing, just to facilitate good communication. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Maybe we can have the attorney clear up that Open Meeting Act question. So.
Perfect.
I'm very sorry to report to you, this is not the first time this month that I have been asked this question. And unfortunately, unlike the example that you gave on the opioid presentation, whatever it was, where you are sitting there and listening, it is unequivocally the experience, without interruption, that there is a dialogue, and the dialogue between business owners and the trustees, and it is dialogue about the operations of the village, puts this into a problem, puts this into the realm of problems on the Open Meetings Act. And so the general rule of thumb is, if the village board as a board would like to meet with the chamber or whatever business group you had, that you would call it as a special meeting, post it, and allow all of you to attend. Because the last thing I would want you is to be criticized.
How hard is that to do?
It's difficult in the sense that not only do you have to announce the meeting, but we have a schedule of meetings that is approved either end of December or January, which is then given, published, et cetera, with our local newspaper and everywhere that is on our website. And suddenly when you have a change for a special meeting, and not that it's a special meeting as much as it's a special meeting not in our ordinary meeting place, you have to make a special concerted effort to get the word out.
I think the village staff and trustees that were in attendance there were in good intent. Going forward, I hope that we can collectively come together as a board to get valuable input from the rest of our residents and also our business owners in particular. So going forward, that is something that I would like to see more of, and I would like to also see where that goes going forward.
You could always invite them here too, which would be a little bit less, and have the discussion here with our usual audience, and that would cut down the difficulty.
And also, I just want to bring up, I mean, this was a private meeting that they invited us to.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not
But
something.
not more than two of you
Yeah,
can
so
come
it was-
because it was
yeah.
a discussion.
Correct. Right.
Okay. Trustee Tucker.
I just want to thank the fire department for so kindly opening up their both firehouses for Trustee Murphy and me to go through and get an idea of what they do every day and their needs. And then they didn't need to do that. They woke on us with open arms and met us, and in a lot of cases I've come across, they disappear. The staff disappears. In this case, the staff was on hand for us to ask questions and get to know them, which we normally don't get a chance to do otherwise. So I want to thank them for their openness and the warmness that they provided for us. I also want to bring out to the fact that there is another spot open on the Park and Rec Advisory Commission again. So if you at all point anybody wanted to apply or was interested in doing it, please send your application to President Bofes and let him know that, hey, you were interested, you didn't know that there was a spot open, and now there is. Come on forward and let us know. We always need new bodies, new ideas and new things going on as we move forward, by all means. That is it.
Okay, Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I just have a handful of shout-outs and thank yous. First, to Inland Bank for their successful shredding event on Saturday. It was so successful that our police department had to come out and help direct traffic because the cars were lined up from Inland Bank all the way past Highview. So thanks to the police department for coming out and kind of helping us out with that. It was a long line, and it's very impressive this year for me particularly to see the Villa Park residents and how proactive they're being with their recycling. Between our large recycling event and this paper event, it was incredibly impressive and encouraging. So keep up the good work on the recycling. The rest of the majority of my thank yous are all related to our Ardmore Park in Villa Park area where the old Ale Smoke Shop building is, that's now Hino Henry's. If everyone keep your eyes out over there, that building is being entirely redone from the inside out for the most part, so it's extremely impressive to watch what's happening there. And two of the other buildings right down from it where I think it's a karate place, they were out there painting and working on their brickwork, so that whole street is really exciting. Above and beyond that, we have major construction going on in the building across the street from the gazebo, and they have totally gutted the interior of that building and the exterior facade as well. And as a 61-year resident of Villa Park, I thought it was really exciting and interesting when they took that front facade off to see the laundry and cleaning sign underneath it, because I have to say I don't ever remember as many times as I walked that street to get to St. Alexander's School, I don't ever remember that building being laundry and cleaning. So I really found that particularly interesting. So if you watch what's happening down there, and in addition to that, I believe it was our great Public Works team that was out replacing the railing on the gazebo. So, oh, I'm sorry, did I misspeak?
Park and Rec did.
Okay, Parks and Rec. All right, Team Villa Park. We'll just call it Team Villa Park so I don't misspeak. But yes, that railing got replaced, that building's under construction, and that whole line of streets is just really impressive with the work that's being done there. And last but not least, last minute thank you to our residents. This afternoon's rain really caused a relatively significant flash flood. I know on my corner, which is South Yale and Washington, the water was probably, I'm going to say, 3 to 4 inches tall going all the way across. And I saw several residents out scraping away the sewer system that gets clogged occasionally with grass and leaves, and it remediated the problem immediately. So thank you to everyone that goes out and does that. It doesn't take long to do, it's not hard to do, but it sure saves Public Works from having to run around and get to all of those. So the people that are governing their sewers and pulling that away, I thank them all.
Okay. I think the gazebo's getting a new roof too, so it's going to look really good. So, okay, the only thing I have is I just want to thank the police department. They got a $5,000 grant from Walmart, so I'm sure you come in handy. I don't have off the top of my head what that was for. Do you remember? It's for...
They, I think they're still in the planning stages, Your Honor, of using that money.
All right. So
I can use it for them.
Oh, okay, you'll find a place for it? Okay. Now, I think they're going to hold on to it pretty tight, though. So thanks for applying for that and getting it. I just want to say, if you all gone across the railroad crossing at Ardmore by the train station, they did a nice job this time. So I was really kind of skeptical when they started. Oh boy! But they did a nice job this time. And also, the construction on the St. Charles Road Bridge is going along real well. I see, the 14 of the 21 beams have been removed. It's a big hole there now, so that's moving right along. So I'm really glad to see that. And the traffic backup hadn't really been as bad as I thought it would be. So, but then the people complain, they go down to North Avenue to get around it, but North Ave's all backed up heading east too. So, but the residents have been very good finding alternative routes. So, and that's all I have. Manager Keener, do you have anything?
Your Honor, just one item. I think this Thursday is our last concert in the park at Cortese Veterans Memorial Park. I think it starts at 6:30, and it's is it Mason Rivers, very well-known band. And Your Honor and Board, if I'm not mistaken, I think Director Gola's crew counted about 450 people in attendance last Thursday. So it went over very well.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find a place to park.
Yeah, Your Honor. With that, I pass, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. We'll move down. We have executive session here. We got 5 ILCS 120/2C1, personnel matters. C2, collective bargaining matters. C5, purchase and lease of property. C6, sale and lease of property. C11, pending litigation. C21, discussion of closed session minutes. Do we have a motion for executive session? Trustee Kazone?
President, I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Fiala? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Solello?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
President Wolfus?
Okay. Yes. And with that, we'll be going into executive session. We will not be coming back.
If I said